Well, we'll see what happens today, but there is some expectation that Mitt Romney will get a firmer grasp on the GOP presidential nomination after Florida today.
And North Central College political science professor Stephen Caliendo joins us now to talk about today's big vote, as he always does. And I have a theory that I'm going to run by you. Even if Romney wins big today in Florida, I think this race is going to go on for quite a while, because I think there are Republican voters who like to throw a wrench in the proceedings.
I think you're right. I don't know if it's only because of throwing a wrench into the proceedings, but I think there's a lot of Republican voters who are not sold on Romney's authenticity.
But that's part of why they want to throw it. You know, because Romney won big in New Hampshire, and then they turned around and just gave Newt Gingrich a big win in South Carolina.
We got some caucus states coming up. Caucuses work a little bit differently than primaries, and some of these other candidates might be able to pull some surprises there. The problem is going to be money. Who's going to be able to raise enough money to keep going?
Regardless, though, the tide has definitely shifted. And Newt Gingrich would say it's the ads, the false ads against him. He also didn't do very well in the last debate. What would you suggest he would need to do to turn the tide around in his favor?
He needs to stay on message, but he also needs to spend a lot of money. And so he's got a couple of big investors, a couple of folks who are sort of giving big money, not directly to him, but to PACs that support him. He's going to need more of that. He has to stay on the airwaves. Florida's a huge state with lots of media markets, so it was very expensive to run campaigns there. That's not going to be the case in February. Missouri, I think, is the largest state. Colorado has a selection contest in February. There's just a handful, but then when we get to Super Tuesday, first Tuesday in March, lots of southern states, especially larger states, you need money if you're going to compete on Super Tuesday.
Gingrich had a very interesting exchange yesterday with CBS's Charlie Rose. Rose was asking him about all of the folks in the Republican Party who've come out against him, and he said he's taking on the establishment in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Is that a winning argument?
It's a winning argument. It's just a tough one for somebody who was Speaker of the House to make. I mean, he's clearly a Washington insider, but he's running as an outsider because the establishment is firmly behind Mitt Romney. I think if you ask those folks who are in the inside of Republican politics, they wanted this thing to be over by now. They wanted Romney to be the nominee. Gingrich is sort of pushing against that.
And what about Ron Paul and Rick Santorum? Poor Rick, he's got a sick daughter.
Poor Rick,
At what point do they drop out and throw their support behind someone else, or should they stay in it? Do you think they have a chance to come back?
I don't think that either one has a chance to come back to get the nomination, but they do have a chance to come back and make some noise at the convention, particularly Ron Paul. I mean, he's got a message that's so different from the other candidates, and he has a core group of supporters that have been behind him all along. Rick Santorum is having a tough time competing for attention with Newt Gingrich because they're not that dissimilar, even though he's trying to make it seem like they are. And, of course, with the sick daughter, it makes it very difficult for him to sort of to stay focused.
Can't wait to see what happens today. University professor Stephen Caliendo, North Central College. Good to see you. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Morning.
You're going to weigh in on what happens.
Yep.